Great to see all you here. Thanks for coming. Last day of Apex, after the party, latest afternoon, so it's a little bit late, but I will try to make this presentation very smooth. I will try to explain you a story of blockchain or how everything started, from my personal opinion, obviously, since the start and the launch of Bitcoin to the reality we are right now. And through this process, we are going to try to see why we took some decisions that drive the actual composability and the actual features of the EVM Sidechain, XRPL EVM Sidechain. We can say right now that it's progressing, and hopefully we can launch it really soon. So let's start from the past. Luckily, the story of blockchain is not that long yet, so we can recover some of the most important events that happened out there and see what are the most significant to us. I titled that Building a Global Supercomputer, and now we are going to see why. So the beginning of all of it, probably everyone in this room knows it, was Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first time that decentralized peer-to-peer network was launched to build a peer-to-peer cash system that solved the double spending problem in a completely peer-to-peer way, where individuals can set up their validators and can start exchanging value without needing the permission or without needing to trust any other entity. That was obviously super relevant. It was the beginning of all. But this created a momentum or a sensation where a lot of people started looking at it, having different ideas, building things, and Bitcoin very quickly started to become not that good for all these things. Bitcoin was conceived to be a payment network. It's still payment network and very widely used, but it had some properties that made Bitcoin not that good for example, retail payments. Confirmation times were too high or too large. It has all these energy mining problems. So this use case was not fully fulfilled with Bitcoin, and very quickly, very smart engineers like David Schwartz and a couple of other people figured out how it could potentially be a true payment network. And I call a true payment network the XRPL. XRPL was built right after Bitcoin and basically tried to solve these problems. It offers 3 to 4 seconds finality time for payments, very efficient, energy clean. It provided a lot of financial primitives for different use cases, payment channels, checks, escrow, and many other features that are out there. And it really solved a very big part of this payment network use case in such a good way that still today, almost 12 years later, it's still one of the top protocols, top currencies for payments, for finance, and it's becoming every time more relevant because of the security that it's generating over the time. But people, it's very creative, and right after that, even if we can take this for somehow solve it at some point, at least for the volume that was out there by this time, people starting to get this seed idea planted on Bitcoin of decentralized, of permissionless for internet that could go far beyond than just payments. So people started or had the necessity to start building different kinds of applications that obviously Bitcoin couldn't handle for payments or even for features or programmability. And also XRPL, that it's true that was very good at payments and also offers some more flexibility. It didn't have the efficiency in programmability to build things fast, to build your own thing there. And people started creating its own purpose-specific chains, each one with its own purposes. We had BitShare, TruthCoin, MatSafe, and a lot of other legacy stuff. And people started having a debate on where we are going with this industry. We are not cooperating enough. All these chains are kind of silos, isolated chains that are competing between the same users. There's a lot of fragmentation. The research and development, it's not going in the same direction. And Blockstream, by this time, proposed sidechains, and sidechains was very inflammatory because basically it has this Bitcoin maximalist approach saying, you know what, it's true that building on Bitcoin, it's very risky and difficult, and it's not going to take all the all the use cases. So basically what we can do is creating your own chain, you can create your own use cases, but at least through a bridge, you can bridge this same monetary base, liquidity, and mining power of Bitcoin. So somehow all the ecosystem benefits from that, even if there is different use cases. So he envisioned it for the first time, like the idea of this global supercomputer that it's now composed by different chains, different incentives, but it has this common monetary or economic layer, which it was Bitcoin. So Vitalik, by this time, made this blog post, December 31, 2014, about that, even before launching Ethereum. And he realized that while this is very novel, and this could somehow create more consolidation in the ecosystem, this will probably be exactly wrong, and it will be very difficult for the ecosystem to prosper. And actually, Ethereum was one of these attempts. Ethereum was launched with the completely opposite direction of all the chains at this time. All the chains were launching with a purpose specific, with their token, etc., etc. Ethereum launched for the first time what we call now a general purpose blockchain, that it tried to be, except as a specific, tried to be as much generalistic as possible. And instead of launching all these chains with tokens and use cases, let's build a chain from scratch that is designed very modular, so everyone can build their own thing on top of that, and maybe that will be the best layer 0 or the roots for this global supercomputer of use cases. And to be honest, for a time, it's been the case. Obviously, there was a lot of different projects, but for a time, Ethereum grabbed all the attention, and almost everyone was building on top of Ethereum, and Ethereum was kind of becoming this global supercomputer, but this was not forever. Very quickly, Ethereum had or find its own limitations in terms of scalability. The network become very congested, fees very high, and this was an opportunity for other chains to launch and more efficient. And basically at this point, Vitalik also realized that it's impossible to put everything in one chain. Even if your chain supports all the potential use cases, not all the use cases will be able to scale on your same chain. So at this point, was very clear that even having that, there will be the need for multiple networks. And this is where we have this latest wave of the Internet of Chains. So this is when we see the rise of protocols such as Cosmos, such as Polkadot, such as Avalanche, that they understood and they agreed that it's impossible that everything is happening on one network. This supercomputer will be formatted and composed for many different networks. And in order to work properly, all these networks needs to be interoperable between them. So Cosmos, basically, what it allows you to do is to launch your chain. It can be general purpose, but it has IBC, or it has some interfaces to interoperability that basically are connected to all the others. So basically, from a top layer application, you can access everything. And this is where we are right now, and this is how the ecosystem has advanced. So in this same blog post, 2014, Vitalik just mentioned that future it's going to be multi-chain, plurality of networks will succeed, and he explained his vision in a couple of years' time on how this can work. And he explained that there will be like a layer 0 of consensus, and it can be different consensus, part of this supercomputer, because different consensus can also target different use cases. For example, if you want to make file storage with Filecoin, you need this proof of space-time they have. You can have proof of work or proof of stake, but also, for example, if you want to have a use case such as Silk Road, you want the more bigger and private set of validators, whether if you want to make a banking application, you want a smaller and very well-recognized nodes, so just the unique node list of XRPL. And the economic layer, it can be different tokens as well. It can be one token for paying gas fees, but it can be one token like Bitcoin that can serve as gold, different tokens that can be used as payments. But the economic layer is very important because it incentivizes how communities or how validators act. So for example, again here, while you can certainly use XRP as well for paying gas fees, Filecoin has a specific design on its economy layer in order to reward or slash these validators for storing data, and you cannot bring the incentives that are in the proof of stake on other chains to fulfill that. So there will be also different kind of economic layers. And on top of that, you can build a couple of services, such file systems, name registries, timestamps, smart contracts, oracles, among many others. And all these things, the most important one to build this supercomputer is to make them interoperable. So if you achieve that, you can make an end user application on top of it that provides a very unified user experience, where below that, depending on what you are doing, you can use different services. One example is, for example, trading NFTs. Trading NFTs may use Ethereum smart contracts to have the object on the blockchain, but they will need to save an image on a file system like Filecoin that will have to reward with its own currency its validators that will have a specific consensus. And at the same time, in order to train against other things, you will need oracles, and oracles like Chainlink will require its own consensus, its own layer of validators, its own economy to reward these validators to do their job, which is providing oracle data. So all these things will happen in below the scenes, and as much interoperable all these things are, the better user experience and unified it could be. So right now today, I will say like the meta game, it's your network, it's your net worth. There is a lot of protocols, very focused and very expert building things, concrete things, and you can compose all of them to build a bigger vision. And as better are your partners, as better your systems will be. So this is the idea. Be the best partner, have the best partners. If we want to have the best of all the worlds, if we want to have, for example, right now, programmability for XRPL, probably it's a better solution to have the best partner on programmability that, for example, could be EVM, which is the most widely used, rather than trying to build programmability internally. Because if you do that, you have very low chances to become the best solution in the market, because other solutions that doesn't inherit, let's say, these handicaps of a proposed specific chain will be better than you at that, and you risk the option of becoming the best at what you are. XRPL is the best on payments, and it's very risky to change that to making a multi-purpose chain if it's not designed by that. So that's the idea behind the EVM sidechain. The idea is using XRP. XRP doesn't have to be limited to that. This economic layer can be abstracted, but in order to have interoperability in this high layer, you can use solutions like Cosmos, like IBC, that are specifically designed for that. In order to have EVM programmability or smart contract programmability, EVM is the most widely used. There is millions and millions of contracts out there that can be ported very fast. So creating your new virtual machine, even if it's better, many protocols did, it faces very low adoption. And at the same time, we are keeping the same strong economic layer. So we are best partner for interoperability, best partner for programmability, best partner for economic layer. XRP, it's now one of the few regulatory assets that has legal clarity in the US. It's one of the most liquid assets. It's one of the most listed assets, one of the bigger assets in terms of market cap. So it's a very great asset, far better than most of the other blockchains that are used out there. So probably a lot of people will be very interested on using that together with the advantages of other technologies. We can all cooperate and work together. And if we need to bring XRP to the sidechain, we will need a bridge. And you have two options again here. You can build your own bridge, or you can partner with the best bridge. And we tried both, as you all know. So bridge option here, and following this mentality, it's been obvious that XLR, that it's a network only designed for that, only proposed for that, and it's been running for that. It's the best partner to do that. And even if you try to build your own bridges, which it's very legit and it reduces external dependency, at the end of the day, it's very difficult to make a system which is built for payments to become the best bridge solution of the market. So sometimes you need to partner with people. So assembling all the puzzle, the final piece looks like that, quite simple. You have XRPL, you have the EVM sidechain. Through XLR, you can bridge the token. So in this case, we can keep and share the same economic layer, creating more sources of demand and more sources of usability for XRP, which is the ultimate goal. But at the same time, we are using different technologies because XRP is not the best general purpose technology. It's not even general purpose by itself. So FMOS, it's combining this Cosmos for interoperability, and it's combining this EVM for programmability. So we find on FMOS the best partner for that. So this is a little bit of the history of blockchain and most relevant events. where we are right now. First thing that David Schwartz announced yesterday, we are migrating the bridge from XRP30AD to Axelar. The reasons, as I mentioned it, are following the same mentality: be the best partner, have the best partners. The best option for bridge becomes to be Axelar. It's battle-tested, production-ready. It has been integrated Uniswap, Microsoft, among many others, which is something that we didn't have. It has a network of 75 validators with K-rotation policies. It's fully trustless, it's fully permissionless, and it allows us to provide a simple and unified experience for bridging, whether if you have multiple bridges, somehow it will be a little bit more difficult to abstract. If Axelar connects us to already all the other networks and all the other tokens, and we can use it for the native currency as well, it may seem a good idea. It has the downside of relying on third party, but sometimes you need to delegate and trust outside. So now from peersyst, we are working to migrate XRPL EVM Sidechain DevNet, which is using XLS, to Axelar. And this is the latest piece that we need and that we missed to launch the EVM Sidechain. We will go now with the chain, but this is what we are waiting. The integration is going on, and after that it's ready, and when we are ready, we will be in position to see if we launch. So let's talk about the chain now, very quickly. 9 million blocks, this is super exciting. EVM Sidechain DevNet has been launched just 1 year ago, the 2nd of June 2023. It's been running for a year, and the stats are amazing that we achieved for being a DevNet. It's not even a testnet. It processed more than 500,000 transactions. It has now the astonishing number of more than 45,000 contracts. That's amazing, even if a small portion of that becomes projects and applications on the mainnet. That will be a massive adoption. There is tens of contracts deployed every day. There is 900 tokens that probably are part of these plans of creating these economies and these use cases. And a lot of accounts and transfers has been made. We keep the block time very stabilized with the ones we want, and I think it's the chain is pretty ready for mainnet, thanks of partnering with FMOS and obviously the best partners on that. There is also, for being a DevNet, a very huge number of the apps. There is a couple of them listed on the Explorer. We have like stores for changing Counter-Strike items. We have band protocol, which is an oracle. We have bridges. We have name. We have DEX. We have multisigs, among many others, and probably far more than the ones we already know, because people are just launching and then you see it on Twitter, but it's impossible to keep track on everything. So I'm very excited to launch mainnet and see how many of these things become real and how big they are. So this is the status. I can say that from a software point of view, everything looks quite ready and very production tested and battle tested. So once we launch, how we make sure that things keeps going well, it's not becoming problematic, or it's not taking a wrong direction. Who governs the XRPL EVM sidechain? So the XRPL EVM sidechain, it's following a proof of authority governance. Right now we have 26 out of a potential maximum of 32 validators that are part of this authority. Some of them, or most of them, are really well known. I couldn't put all of them here because some of them are individuals that doesn't have logos, or they are not that well known in the community, but have Ripple, FMOS, BlockScout, peersyst, Moai, Commons, Catalyze, universities, the apps. So we have plenty of them that are already being part of that, and they've become very active over the time. We've been ensuring that everyone is super ready for this potential mainnet launch. And I think so far the experience is quite good, and we feel very comfortable with it. I say that because during this year we managed to pass out 36 proposals that was made by peersyst, making some changes and creating these first steps of the governance of the XRPL EVM sidechain. Some of these proposals were to enable IBC, that was obviously very important, but we adjusted XRP fees, we adjusted jailing, we added and removed validators, we supported new Ethereum improvement proposals, and we made some governance changes in case of voting, for example, timings, etc. And a couple of weeks ago, we made the first chain upgrade that passed successfully. So it looks like all these things for a DevNet ecosystem are going well. We don't have any clear sign of or clear alert that tells us that we are not ready to go. And with that set of validators and this amazing community behind, we will have everything ready to keep updating with Ethereum, with Cosmos, with Evmos, and to build our own things. Because I mean, the idea of Evmos is that you can get all these innovations happening outside, but now we also have the room to be on the top of the research and create these innovations from the XRPL ecosystem related to the general purpose programmability. So how these proposals works, if you are interested after we launch to see everything how's going, and if you want to contribute, basically in Cosmos, everyone can make a proposal. You don't need to have an authority validator to participate. You can just go, pay some quantity of XRPs, and put a proposal there. This proposal will require a minimum participation in order to be counted as votes, which right now is 33%. All the numbers here are subject to change. And when we reach this 33%, validators can vote yes, no, abstain, or veto. If a proposal has 33% of veto, automatically becomes invalid, and the proposer loses the XRPs. This is to prevent spam. Otherwise, whether it's accepted or not accepted, the proposer recovers the XRPs that has put. This is a mechanism of defense. So out of these votes, if there is more than 50% votes that are yes, then the proposal passes. If otherwise, it doesn't pass. And there is a voting period. It's not like the XRPL that you keep it on the server and then you can upgrade it. So basically, there is a closed period. Now for DevNet, to be a little bit more agile, we have 7 days, but probably on mainnet, times for voting will be a little bit larger because people need to review things. So maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll need to see. So that's it. I think technically we are quite ready. Politically, governance, we are quite ready. Now we need to wait this Axelar integration and do it on our side, but everything, it's moving forward. It doesn't depend now on a Stuk amendment, so also we will have room to move forward, and I think we will be very soon ready to move XRP beyond borders. And why I told that, it's because, first of all, we finally have a name. We all know XRPL EVM Sidechain. I think personally it's a very compelling name because it's very descriptive, and I think it will give a lot of visibility to the XRPL, to the broad Web3 ecosystem. We have a new website. We want to make sure that things are not confusing, so we will have xrplevm.org. Here it's now a landing page about cross-chain, but over the time we will fulfill it with far more information. And we have this Discord where you can join and you can follow everything that's going on. So having that, we don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm really curious and excited to unlock XRP potential beyond chains, beyond purposes, and beyond technical borders. So thank you. Yeah, I will take some questions if there are.
David was first. Go ahead. How much XRP is required to propose, and if it's vetoed, where does the XRP go? You said it gets like slashed, but does it go to the validators or somewhere else, just burned?
I think Adria will be able to answer better.
Yeah, right now it's 50 XRP for voting, but we may need to adjust that, and it gets burned.
It gets burned. All right.
So my question is, next step when we get to live mainnet, are we going to keep the same voting proposal mechanism, or are we going to update it?
So I think it's, generally speaking, at least in the short term, it will be, we can adjust parameters because we need to figure out how it works in our chain. Changing the entire voting mechanism of Cosmos, it's a little bit more tricky. I think it can be done over the time, but in the short term, this will be the mechanism, and we can adjust parameters on days, percentages, thresholds, etc. But the proposals will need to be run in a similar way.
I have a question. Does the Axelar bridging mechanism require an amendment on mainnet?
No. I think Axelar, I mean, I can't tell all the details because it's fairly new to me as well. But as far as I know, Axelar is going to use multisigs. So basically, there is no amendment requirement. And once the integration is finished, we will be able to launch.
Is there a timeline for your migration to XLR?
Yeah, well, the timeline already started. So our team right now, it's already, the rest of our team is already working on it. We are obviously now researching a little bit because XLR provides a very interesting interoperability layer. So there is actually many different ways to move the native currency from XRP to the sidechain. And we are figuring out which one is the best and then implementing it. Probably we'll try to keep it on the DevNet, because right now in the DevNet there is a lot of projects and use cases, and we don't want to just start from scratch. It may be the case, but as much as we can, we will try to fork it and change the bridge so it gets connected to XLR. Yeah.
So you mentioned you've already enabled IBC. I know you're potentially planning to use it to connect to XLR, but are there any other use cases that you have in mind?
Yeah, well, actually, IBC, it's very important for us because since we have FMOS as a base layer, there is a huge ecosystem and connectivity to the Cosmos ecosystem. This is one thing that, to be honest, I discovered over the time. The main idea was being always Ethereum, and we went to all these ETH events. But then when you start realizing Cosmos community, it's very, very big. It's growing community. There is a lot of protocols and products very successful there. And one of the great parts of FMOS is that they are exposing an ERC20 interface for all the Cosmos tokens. So you have a unified experience, and whether you transfer assets in the EVM layer or you transfer tokens or messages or anything on the Cosmos layer, you see it as an Ethereum layer, as a unified experience, and then you can interoperate with all these features. So there will be we'll try to tap a lot into the Cosmos ecosystem as well.
So my question is about how can we bring the Ethereum ecosystem to the EVM. So there's a lot of node as a service like Infuta, Alchemy, and perhaps Etherscan. So do you guys have plans with creating nodes as a service or running our own nodes to propagate the transactions? Or how is on the roadmap about this question?
Yeah, I mean, we are very open to get as much participation as possible. So when you start from scratch, basically, you start running everything on your own. Then you start making partnerships. So for example, for the Explorer, we bring Block Scout, and now Block Scout also are part of the validator set, and they provide APIs, RPCs, and many of the validators are adding more things. So all the time, we try to onboard everyone, not only developers or the apps. We also try to onboard infra. We also try to onboard different layers of data availability, oracles, etc. And as much we can grab, the more complete is this global supercomputer and the best use of XRP we'll be able to do. Thank you very much.